Hey there everyone, thanks for tuning in and clicking the video. So in this video we're going to be covering the Devastation Evoker's pre-patch sort of build, level 60 build. I've kind of figured out two builds you could use. One is more single target focused with some cleave elements. The other one is definitely like large pack AoE. Both work really well in the respective areas. Both work for leveling, both work for raid, fight depending. So let's just get right into it and try to do this as quick as we can. So right here we have the single target cleave kind of build. We get our cleave from the combination of scintillation with eternity span. The goal of this build is mostly single target, so you're going to be doing a lot of disintegrates and just trying to maintain your fire breath as you can, and casting Shattering Star whenever it's available and up. And this is the AoE focus build. So instead of going down the right hand side, we're taking mostly left hand talents. We're picking up Volatility, Firestorm, Snapfire, Burnout, and Everburning Flame. This allows our Pyre to bounce with Volatility. Firestorm allows us to give a ground AoE to help keep our Fire Breath buff active for as long as we can. This build is mainly focused on maintaining that Fire Breath buff for a long period of time, and it works quite well just to keep that going. And so what you'll end up doing is, as you are refreshing your Fire Breath dot and pandemicing it, you can actually cast it at a higher empower level, which means that your instant damage is going to be a lot higher. So I'll show you where Fire Breath's damage. So Fire Breath's damage, as you cast it at a higher empower level, the instant damage goes up and the dot damage goes down over a shorter period of time. Ends up being the same amount, so it doesn't really matter. It's just you're able to get out a bigger burst, more or less. So next we're going to cover is the stat allocations for Evoker. So the best stat ability that you have is item level, which is your intelligence, followed up by mastery, critical strike, and haste. You ideally, if you want to be min-maxing, want to have around 10% haste. That way you can put more into mastery and critical strike. Versatility is just nice to have. It's not as strong as mastery. Mastery is your go-to. Okay, now we're going to cover the rotation for the single target build. So the rotation during your lust will be Dragon Rage, followed by Fire Breath, followed by an Eternity Surge. Then you're going to be using your Shattering Star, Disintegrate, and when you can't cast a Disintegrate because you don't have enough essence to cast it, you're going to hit your Azure Span, which is an instant cast ability. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but during Dragon Rage, it triggers Essence Burst automatically. So you hit Azure Strike to trigger an Essence Burst when you can't cast a Disintegrate, which allows you to lower the cooldown on Eternity Surge. The goal being to cast Eternity Surge twice within your Dragon range, which will allow you to cast 2 Fire Breaths, which will give you, I believe it's 36 seconds of Dragon Rage, which is where all of your damage is going to come from. It is a little bit tight because on pre-patch we don't have the talents that we have in currently on beta because we're not level 70 to do this. So here I'm going to quickly demonstrate the single target rotation for you. Let's see if I can do it properly. All right, so I'm going to start off with Lust into Dragon Rage, Fire Breath, Eternity Surge, Shattering Star, Disintegrate, Disintegrate, Azure Strike, Disintegrate. Now, and then keep on repeating this, and you can see the cooldown on Eternity Surge is dropping. Now, I want to get that Eternity Surge out. And I did use Tip the Scales to make sure I was able to cast it. And there we go, there's Fire Breath. And just maintain that dot. And then once you get past there, just continue to Azure Strike and Eternity Surge. And then once it's over, you go into single target, which is just casting Living Flame and your Disintegration. At this point, you can actually even use your Deep Breath to do some extra damage to the boss. And then just maintain the rotation of casting Eternity Surge on cooldown, casting Fire Breath on cooldown, casting Shattering Star on cooldown, and Disintegrate when you have it. And in between the Disintegrates, you're going to be casting Living Flame. and just cycling those until Dragon Breath comes off a cooldown, in which case you're going to start that rotation and the opener again. Now, when you don't have Lust with Dragon Rage, it's going to be really difficult to get 2 Eternity Surges and Fire Breaths because we just don't have the haste to do it without Lust or without our tier set from beta. All right, so now we're going to cover the AoE focused rotation. So this is going to be the Fire Breath, Volatility, and Ever-Burning Flame build. So for this, the goal is to, once again, try to get that Eternity Surge up a second time. Probably won't be able to because I'm not going to be able to use Lust right now, but in Lust, if you're doing it on a pack, you should be able to get a second Eternity Surge out. So what I'm going to be doing is actually using Tip the Scales in the start of the pull with Dragon Rage. And so the rotation for this is a lot more simple. It's Firestorm, Dragon Rage, Fire Breath, Eternity Surge. You can use Tip, if it's a large pack, you can use Tip the Scales with it. And then you're going to be Pyre, Azure Strike, Pyre, Azure Strike, and just repeat that over and over and over and over again. Now, with this build, you can have the option to choose Charge Blast, or you can go with Spellweaver's Dominance. This, I'm actually going to just swap into Charge Blast for the extra damage you can get out of it compared to Spellweaver's Dominance. So here's the rotation. Firestorm, Dragon Rage, Fire Breath, Disintegrate, and then you're just going to weave these two Azure Strike with Pyre over and over again. Throwing in a Living Flame whenever you have it. Oh, and there we go. There's that. I managed to get my Disintegrate up again. On my and then just maintain your Fire Breath dot on the target as long as you're casting more. When you start having to go into more single target, then you're going to want to be using Disintegration. All right, and that's the quick overview on how to play Evoker in the pre-patch and in leveling. Now, both builds can be used for leveling. Personally, I felt when I was leveling the Fire build was a lot more easier to maintain and deal with, and going from pack to pack to pack. Both builds work just fine, though. Up to your personal preference as to which one you want to do. If you're pulling big groups, I would suggest using the Fire. If you're going to be pulling small groups and leveling by yourself, probably go with the more single target build. Other than that, I've got the builds links down in the description, so you can feel free to use those to help you out with playing. And if you liked the video, hit the like and subscribe button. Peace.